surprising few, Egyptian President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi wins a second term with over 96% of the vote. A Nigerian digital media company helps young women advance in the workplace. And a Gambian fashion brand brings African style to London. Africa 54 starts right now.
Good evening and welcome. I'm Vincent McCory. This is Africa 54. Incumbent Abdel Fattah el-Sisi is cruising to a landslide victory in Egypt's presidential election. Initial results show the former military commander winning 97% of the votes in the 2018 poll, with 23 million Egyptians voting for him, according to state-run Al Haram news website. The Al Haram report says some 25 million Egyptians out of nearly 60 million eligible voters cast their votes in the three-day election that concluded on Wednesday. The results also revealed that Sisi's sole rival in the race, little-known politician Mustafa Musa, garnered only 3% of the votes. Most voters expressed their beliefs in Sisi as a savior from Islamist radicalism of the currently blacklisted Muslim Brotherhood group, and trust in Sisi's leadership to battle terrorism and to strengthen security, stability and development. Now, rebel and Congo military sources say armed rebels have killed at least one soldier during an attack on a house owned by Congo President Joseph Kabila in the east, where a number of conflicts have flared in recent months. Kabila was not present when Mai Mai militiamen attacked the home near the town of Beni and clashed with state soldiers. It is the second assault on a presidential residence in 3 months, in what analysts say points to a deteriorating security situation in Congo, stoked in part by Kabila's refusal to step down in 2016 when his mandate expired. In East Africa, Somalia's northern Puntland state for years has been more stable than the country's volatile south. But that picture may be changing. Police in Puntland remain on alert amid a string of attacks over the past year by Al-Shabaab and another group of fighters who have joined the Islamist State terror group. Jason Patton Kim reports from the Puntland city of Bosaso.
A checkpoint in the desert to keep ISIS and al-Shabaab from reaching the port city of Bosaso, an economic hub in Somalia's semi-autonomous Puntland state. Both have attacked this checkpoint in the past year.
Al-Shabaab are based on this side toward Kalgala Mountains, and ISIS are on the other side toward Kandala. We are always on standby. We are always careful. But with God's will, we will defeat them one day.
Police say the extremists tried to sneak weapons, explosives, or militants into Bosaso almost every day. They say they caught an ISIS suspect 2 days before VOA's visit.
He jumped off his vehicle at that far mountain. I sent 2 groups of troops. Some took a vehicle. The others went by foot, and we surrounded him and caught him.
Security is tight in Bosaso, but authorities admit extremist cells are in the town. There have been 2 attacks on police posts in Bosaso this year, killing a handful of officers. Puntland authorities say al-Shabaab members are shifting north to escape military pressure in southern Somalia. Officials say the militants use weapons smuggled by sea across the Gulf of Aden from war-torn Yemen. Still, authorities downplay al-Shabaab's capabilities.
A few individuals can sneak into town, but that's about it. The meaning of these small attacks is just to say, we are still here.
Bosaso remains calmer than Somalia's capital Mogadishu in the south, where deadly bombings are common.
You can come across an accident or an incident, but there's no big threat that we now fear.
But as long as extremists remain in the countryside with access to weapons, Bosaso will not be completely safe. Jason Patinkin for VOA News, Bosaso, Somalia.
A new coalition of tech giants and conservationists are looking to drastically reduce the amount of wild and often endangered animals that are trafficked via online services. As Veronica Balderas Iglesias reports, they are hoping to cut 80% of the illegal trade by the end of the decade.
The annual value of the illegal wildlife trade is estimated to be more than $20 billion worldwide. And the tendrils of this black market, the fifth most profitable, have already entered the web.
Because it's more anonymous and it's much easier to trade to a bigger global market. The sorts of wildlife that you see illegally traded are things like elephant ivory, marine turtle shells or kerry, even marine turtle eggs, pangolins, the most trafficked mammal in the earth.
Setting their sights on reducing the illegal online trade of these animals by 80% by 2020, the World Wildlife Fund has teamed up with a number of tech giants,
including eBay, Etsy, Microsoft, Google, Alibaba, Tencent, sorts of companies that really have a massive global reach and have presence all over the world. What we're doing here is setting in place a series of policies and procedures to define exactly what is a prohibited item.
Although it was officially launched at the beginning of March, the coalition of private sector tech companies has been experimenting with the strategy for 2 years. And eBay senior manager Mike Carson told VOA it already has concrete results to show for it.
In 2017 alone, we blocked or removed over 45,000 listings on eBay that violate our policy on parts from endangered or threatened species.
Part of this strategy has been to educate clients about the laws and restrictions on these animals.
In those cases where people are actively trying to circumvent our filters, we take harsher action. We can suspend them either temporarily or completely from the site. And we do work with law enforcement as well in certain situations if there's a criminal activity going on.
The members of the coalition are also planning to establish joint alert systems to better counteract the traffickers should they change their modes of operation. Veronica Valderas Iglesias, VOA News.
Now, we're always thrilled when you reach out to us on social media and let us know what you think about important issues. Last week, we asked you, what are the challenges girls face in your country? We've been inundated with your comments, and today we'll profile some of them. Africa 54's Zoe Ludek sorted through them and has the details.
Abdirashid Farah from Salt Lake City in Utah writes about the enormous challenges girls face in Somalia. I have witnessed them being forced to marry a man their parents chose, he writes. There is also a great deal of intimidation whenever they go out of their homes. Carolina Tieno from Kampala in Uganda, and one of the few women to respond, writes, girls aren't entitled to inherit their parents' land. It's a big challenge because girls have to work extra hard in order to build their life. Alex Amin from Juba in South Sudan says, girls in Africa are the most marginalized. They work in their farms and they're overloaded with domestic tasks. Mohamed Ibrahim Kamara from Sierra Leone writes, our girls face early marriage as a result of poverty. Parents believe that girls are meant to get married and have kids. Ernest Totti Jr. from Tanzania summarizes the realities that girls face in Africa. 1, he says, female genital mutilation. 2, early and forced marriage. 3, gender discrimination. And 4, rape.
Well, I want to thank you very much for your comments and want to ask you to keep them coming. We're going to continue profiling your answers to that question. What are the challenges African girls face in your country? Now go to Facebook to VOA Africa 54. Use the hashtag African Girls Rights and tell us what you think. Or just send me a tweet at VOA Vince McCory. Now coming up, helping young African women with their professional advancement. Stay with us. To the table.
This is a country that I chose to become a citizen. I didn't have to become a citizen. I chose to become a citizen.
I feel like America gave me an opportunity to pursue my passion as an artist.
I really believe that clean eating is a way to a more successful life, or a happier life, if you want to put it that way.
One of the things that helps me wake up every morning is doing better, being better.
We grew up poor, and so I'm always focused on helping the working class be able to have a more comfortable lifestyle.
I'm passionate about doing justice every day. I oftentimes say that justice is a verb, not a noun. You know, I believe in action and moving the ball forward.
Well, anyone can play a role in African innovation. That's according to Afua Osei. The Ghanaian-born entrepreneur who grew up in the Washington, D.C. area co-founded a Nigerian digital media company that helps young women with their professional advancement. Here's viewers Tiges Tigeme.
As a business consultant in Lagos, Afua Osei routinely met women who were looking for ways to advance professionally but didn't know how. They needed guidance and mentoring.
I didn't plan to be an entrepreneur. I had a really great job. I loved doing that work, but I saw an opening, right? And I think many of us, we complain all the time. We're like, why isn't this happening? Or someone should do something about this, or why isn't government doing this? And instead of complaining, I decided to take action and try to solve the problem myself.
Osei and her colleague Yasmin Bello Osage started the digital platform She Leads Africa. It now has an online community of 300,000 in 35 countries in Africa and throughout the diaspora. Anyone can be an innovator, Osei says.
Being in technology, you don't have to look a certain way. It's not just for one type of person. It's open to anybody. Anybody can play a role, and there's so much work to be done, and there's so many great opportunities that can come from it.
Osei sees potential in Africa. The continent has some fast-growing economies and the world's fastest-growing population. Its 1.2 billion population is projected to almost double by 2050. But, she says, Africa also holds challenges for entrepreneurs.
Dealing with policies and governments can be hard. There's also distribution, so how do I get a product that's made in Lagos out here to Austin, right? So when I think about the challenges, I think that that's what we're here for, right? We're here to break down those barriers and to find solutions to those problems.
She Leads Africa deals with problem solving. It started an accelerator, a 3-month development program to assist women-led startups in Nigeria. Chere Robinson won a spot in the program and $10,000 in seed money for a specialty travel company. She said it provided her a wealth of knowledge she did not have. Entrepreneurs often have to navigate complicated government regulations and licensing requirements. Osei suggests collaborating with key government personnel who understand technology.
I think it's important for technology leaders to take the lead, of course, and to be innovative in how we communicate to government, because they're learning just as much as we are.
Osei and Bello Osage have big plans. They want to reach 1 million subscribers for their website. As the site says, it's for the ladies who want to build million-dollar companies, lead corporate organizations, and crush it as leaders.
Well, viewers, Tiges Tigeme now joins me to tell us more about her takeaway from the South by Southwest Festival. Welcome to Africa 54.
Thank you for having me.
A great story there. Now, first, Osei says quite a number of things, but did she kind of appear to have just come there to talk about business, She Leads Africa, or did she also attend other Africa kind of related events?
Right, she did attend a lot of events because South by Southwest is an annual traditional event in Austin, Texas, and it runs for 9 days every year. And it's been around for 30 years, but this year, for the first time, there is an event exclusively focusing on Africa. It's called African House for a couple of days. And then on that Africa House, she was one of the speakers, and her speech was about future is female in Africa in general. So she's like, she works a lot on empowering young women and mentoring. So she spoke about that over the weekend, but weekdays also. One day there was 3 events focused on Africa back to back. And from that, she kind of led the panel, opened the panel, and just led the conversation on networking, how to fund the next wave of African unicorns, techies in Africa.
Yeah, that's cool. Now, first, she said she was actually working comfortably, then she decided to get into this kind of entrepreneurship because she saw there was a need somewhere. In all the conversations you had, did you get the sense that perhaps the best motivation and perhaps the greatest way to get into this is to think about finding a solution to a problem rather than being driven by trying to make money?
Yes, I think not just AFWA, but most of the young Africans who were part of those events that happened in Austin, they talk passionately about solving the problems in Africa, but then, you know, in that process to use your innovation, to use your small business ideas or even big ideas, not just to help yourself also, but solve the problems, because most of them were tricked by, like you said, about problems they see on daily life, like people selling vegetables, not having access to order their materials over the phone or online, for example. And they all focus on solving those problems, use technology, not just copy-pasting what is already made, use that and modify it towards what problem they deal with daily life in different countries over the continent. And then, of course, they say make money. Yeah, of course, there has to be some money made. Now, very briefly, what would you say was the major takeaway for most of those who attended the South by Southwest, especially Africans? Yeah, I think the major takeaway was networking. They all talk about not just Africans who came to attend the event, but the diaspora, African diaspora who lives here but want to go do something on the continent. And also others who have interest to invest in Africa or do any kind of business or any education, whatever, in Africa. They all were asking on the events, how do we network? How do we make friends? How do we approach government? So the main takeaway was what AFWA and also like the ones who are already successful in Africa, they were saying, start. The main takeaway is come to the continent, make friends, approach the government who personnels who can understand what you want. That's how you start. But they really talk about networking is the key. Expand your contacts and network. Thank you very much, Tigist, for doing this piece and coming on the set to talk about it to us. Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure. Well, that's Tigist Game, who is a reporter with VOA's Afan Oromo. Now, a Nigerian entrepreneur is turning plastic waste into raincoats, school bags, car covers, and shoes. He says he's doing this his part to fight pollution and encourage recycling while making a practical fashion statement. But not everyone is buying into it. Here's VOA's Mariama Diallo.
Nigerian entrepreneur Olayemi Samson is working on his latest piece made from recycled waste to add to his collection. As a little boy models the finished product, a raincoat made of plastic, Samson says this is a way for him to fight pollution.
I got to understand that over 27 million sachet total waste littered on the streets on a daily basis. So I begin to ask myself that, I mean, where this waste, it takes 20 to 30 years before they decay, and where are they going to?
That's when he told himself there's a way of transforming the environmental nuisance into something useful. First, a trip to a dump site to pick up some water bags, then washing and disinfecting them before applying his skill of turning the material into school bags, shower caps, and even car covers. But while it took a moment for some to get used to the idea, he says, many have now embraced it.
Some people were so skeptical about it initially. So when people begin to wear the school bag, the raincoat, you know, they became like a star somehow because it was attracting people's attention that what brought about this creativity of this waste, you know, being used into something useful.
But not everyone is enthusiastic about the idea of reusing plastic bags as clothing.
No, I cannot use it because these water sachets are dirty. It is not good. It is a waste product. I won't allow my child to wear it as a cloth to go to school or a bag to go to school. It doesn't make any sense.
Yes, I can use it because seeing the pictures, it looks lovely. But it depends on the kind of housing I'm using it for. But I can use it. probably for leisure, stuff like that. But I think when it comes to something very serious, I won't use it.
According to a World Bank report, Lagos generates 9,000 metric tons of waste daily. Samson, whose business is not profitable yet, says he hopes to be an inspiration to young people and those in authority when it comes to protecting the environment. Mariama Diallo, VOA News.
Well, it's time now for a short break. Still to come on Africa 54. Young Londoners embrace Gambian fashion. We'll be right back.
In South Africa, authorities battled the influx of rampant poaching in the country in an effort to protect endangered species such as the cheetah, rhino, and elephant. In Sierra Leone, the National Electoral Commission delivers election material to all polling stations across the country in preparation for Sunday's presidential runoff election. Stambiso Mutukura is Zimbabwe's first Miss Albinism, and she aims to end the discrimination toward the 150,000 people with albinism in sub-Saharan Africa.
An ambassador, I would like to be an advocate for persons with albinism.
Fans arrived Friday in Johannesburg for the start of the 4th Test cricket match between South Africa and a scandal-hit Australian team. That's all for today. Thanks for watching.
Welcome back to Africa 54, and here's what's trending. London's Camden district is the home of Jeka Fashion, a streetwear brand inspired and created from African wax prints sourced in the Gambia. Founded in Gambia in 2013 by Gambian Camille Farage and Petros Solomou, Jeka means to be beautiful or elegant in Wolof, a language widely spoken in Gambia and Senegal. Although the brand creators initially targeted the diverse and large African diaspora community in London, the store's location in one of the city's busiest and trendiest districts has attracted people from all walks of life. Well, next up, Technicolor Toasties have arrived at Selfridges. The luxury department store's Rainbow Toastie gets its color from goat's cheese, beetroot, rocket, and caramelized onion. No artificial coloring is used. The colorful sandwich is proving popular, particularly due to a current trend for rainbow-colored food that's a hit on photo-sharing app Instagram. To celebrate the upcoming Easter holidays, Selfridges is also serving up a unique twist on the hot-cross bun with cheddar and brie cheese plus spiced salted caramel. And finally, it's official. The Labrador Retriever is America's favorite breed for the 27th consecutive time, as according to the canine experts of the American Kennel Club. Also holding on to their spots are the German Shepherd and the Golden Retriever to round out the top 3. But in a surprise shake-up, the French Bulldog jumped to 2 spots to come in at number 4. Its drama-free disposition winning over the hearts and apartments of city dwellers. The smushy-faced pups are already the top dogs of New York City. And that's what's trending today. Now, a cultural symbol and a fashion statement, the Basotho blanket has never lost its meaning or appeal, but young designers are finding they can create something new from the history of their country, Lesotho. VOA's Caroline Turner has more.
When Tumesani Tekiso was younger, he watched over his family's goats and cows on the mountainsides. Like most herders in Lesotho, he wears the intricately embroidered blankets that are the distinguished cultural trademark of the Basotho people. The blankets were introduced in the mid-1800s before the country became a British protectorate. The blankets are now produced by a company solely authorized by the Basotho royal family.
I have to design the blankets that is written the Basotho different things so that I can show them that Basotho is the people who are using the blankets always.
Tekiso, who is now a designer, also creates his own kind of special blankets.
Most of our children, they don't know what does the blanket mean. So we have to go back to the community and teach them about our culture and what does the blanket mean.
Young Basotho designers are catching on. They're borrowing from Lesotho's rich history to stand out in the fashion world. One of the most popular statement pieces is the colorful corn cob motif, Sina Marina, which means to swear by the chiefs. But there are other designs too. Designer Thabu Makido's Kogbo collection is inspired by Basotho blankets.
I love designing things that have a story and a history to them, because I find designs like that they withstand time. It's not a trend. And I'm not trying to do trendy fashion. I'm trying to do items that people can invest in, and 5 years from now they can still take out and wear them.
Even when she is not using the blanket itself for her range of capes, Basotho prints remain at the heart of her work. She says she's on a journey of discovery and reconnecting to her roots.
It's something that's exciting. It's something that, you know, it makes me want to continue. And more than anything, having started the Kubo collection, it's also piqued an interest in me to learn more about my own history and more about where the Basotho people come from, and how Moshoeshoe put all those clans together. And there's so many stories still to be unpacked, still to be told.
Another young designer uses the motifs for caps and accessories that he says are versatile and practical compared to blankets.
The inspiration came because I saw some fashion designers here in Lesotho dealing with jackets, making jackets out of Basotho blankets, which are the Sina Marina blankets. So I decided to bring something cool that everybody can wear, whether in winter, summer, or daily basis.
Basotho blankets were featured in the recent Marvel blockbuster Black Panther. Carolyn Turner, VOA News.
Well, we live here today with Fee Four, new video by Ghanaian artist Agbe Edem. From all of us here in Washington, have a great weekend.
But nothing ain't happened. What it wrong my life? I've been on the road for the longest time, but nothing ain't happened. What it wrong my life? Anytime I'm around, there's some people that do me. You put my time, you put my time where you do me. Fear for Moyami, Monjabi. Fear for Moyami. Monjabi, fear for Moyami. Monjabi, fear for Moyami. Monjabi, 48 and I'm single, yeah. Small room with a single bed. I don't want to wrinkle, yeah. When I go hear my wedding bell, I get on my knees and pray. Father, hear me, yeah. Then my stone to break. Yeah, but see, I won't jive, yeah. Father, please give me 2 children. 1 boy, 1 girl. 1 ring, 1 bench. Sugar daddy for some like good girls.
And for us, winning means being able to come back in 10, 15 years and say, technology changed Africa.